Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Machiavelli, espionage ideas enjoyer. That is a wonderful quote, but it quickly encounters issues. What if what you desire cannot be won by deception? There is, after all, no spino exercise that can get someone to give you a province. There is no lie you can tell a player to make them give you all of their land. In fact, there is no deceiving a revolt that has already risen up. To achieve victory in this situation, one must use force. But what force should we use? Well, one could try and achieve victory through constructing a well-balanced large army with artillery, infantry, and even some cavalry, reinforcing properly, picking your battlefield to optimize the terrain, and defeating your enemies honorably with a well-balanced mix of both discipline and morale. Or one could ignore all those things and ghost tag Cavalry Combat Ability to such an extent it makes Genghis Khan's armies look about as threatening as the Swiss Navy. Disclaimers: Cavalry Combat Ability is only one element of a strong cavalry army. Other fun buffs you can get towards your cavalry include but are not limited to 0.5 cavalry fire from the Scandinavian idea set or +1 cavalry fire in the Siamese ideas. Furthermore, things like the Wind Hussars have buffs like +1 cav shock and 50% morale damage. And furthermore, if we include all special units, we can go ahead and do things like play the Mamluks, grab their mission for 5% discipline on their special units, and build those special units as cavalry. Basically, there's a lot of things that can make your cavalry better that aren't actually cavalry combat ability, and all those things I'm ignoring in this video. With that said though, standard setup, so no custom nations, achievement compatible, Iron Man compatible. Let's go. So, here we are in the world, and as always, before we begin, a like would be appreciated, and if you haven't already, a subscription would be amazing. With that said, we're going to begin our journey today in Lithuania, as this will enable us to release and play as Zaporozhye. Now, Zaporozhye has access to this fun decision here, the Call of the Steppes, but before we press it, there's a couple things we need to do. See, this is going to make us a republic and get rid of our ability to take aristocratic ideas and some other stuff. Before we get there, what we need to do is go ahead and grab the aforementioned aristocratic ideas. Now, we don't need to complete them yet, we just need to open them to have them ready for our further endeavors. And after we've done that, go ahead and grab 4 reforms, and at tier 5 that you would have unlocked with that, you'll be able to get the Boyar's military service. This means that you'll be able to go to the Boyars and give them this privilege here, the Boyar's landed army, which will decrease your cav cost by 10% and give you 25% cav to infantry ratio. It's also going to give you up to 20% cavalry combat ability, scaling with the influence of the estate. Make sure you always have the Boyars at 100% influence. Now that we're on the topic of estates, let's talk about the Cossacks. Go ahead and get them to 60% influence or higher as well as 60% loyalty, and this will give you an extra 20% cavalry combat ability, 20% cavalry cost, and 10% cavalry to infantry ratio. And with all that finally done, you'll finally be able to go ahead and call the steppes. This will enable Horde as well as plutocratic ideas, which we'll get to in a bit, but more importantly, at tier 1 we'll gain the Sick Rada reform, giving us access to a further 25% cav to infantry ratio, 20% cavalry combat ability, and minus 20% cav cost, and a pretty massive 25% Cossack force summit fraction. As you can see, we don't need to worry about cavalry to infantry ratio, which is quite impressive considering we're about to get quite a bit more cav to infantry ratio as well. So with that said, let's fill out our ideas. We need to go ahead and finish aristocratic, which will have 15% cavalry combat ability, minus 20% cavalry cost, and a further plus 10% cav to infantry ratio, which we're then able to go ahead and combine with espionage ideas to make Machiavelli proud, and grab Horde. Now, if you thought our cavalry was cheap before, at this point it's pretty much free, and we get another 10% ratio. Furthermore, with Horde we get another 25% cavalry combat ability, and with these 3 ideas we can take a look at our policies. We can get psychological warfare for some cavalry flanking ability and 10 cavalry combat ability, as well as a noble loyalty act for 10% cavalry combat ability and 10 boyar loyalty equilibrium to keep our boyars that are 100% influential loyal as well. With that done, however, you need to go ahead and grab yourself a placeholder idea group, and then grab quality for 10% cavalry combat ability on top of everything we've got so far. And after that, you need to go ahead and grab, you guessed it, another placeholder before you finally finish off with offensive. Now, offensive doesn't contain any cavalry combat ability directly. However, you can go ahead and grab this event here for 5% cavalry combat ability for 10 years, and this introduces our first temporary buff. After that, you can go ahead and form Poland, which will give you access to new traditions and ambitions. Now, this is the first time we're going to be getting this event, and this should be the last time we click yes please, as these Polish ideas will give you access to 30% cavalry combat ability again until the end of the game, as well as give you access to Wind Hussars. And you won't believe it, you can also discount your cavalry by a further 10%. But hey, free cavalry is free cavalry. But Poland is only the start of our Formballs journey. Thankfully, Poland isn't an end tag, considering it can form the Commonwealth. So, what we need to do is, after Poland, we need to go ahead and form Pomerania. I've tagged into Stettin here, as they have access to Pomeranian missions, and where we can strengthen old ties, which will give us 10% cavalry combat ability until the end of the game, followed by Sardinia Piedmont. Again, I've tagged into Savoy because they have access to Sardinia Piedmont missions, where, on top of the 5% admin efficiency and 10 goods produced until the end of the game, we can also conquer Burgundy to get access to 10% cavalry combat ability for 20 years. With that, now, we are properly entering the temporary section of all of our buffs. So let's keep going, because after this we need to leave Europe. and make our way over to India, where first of all we need to go ahead and form Delhi for 10% Cavalry Combat Ability for 20 years, Orissa for, you guessed it, 15% Cavalry Combat Ability for 20 years, Rajputana. Mewar again has the Rajputana missions, and when you form them you'll get access to this mission here for 10% Cavalry Combat Ability, this time for 30 years, as well as some further cavalry costs like you needed that. Finally, our enter tag of choice today is actually going to be the Mughal Empire. Now again, make sure you don't take the new ideas, but you'll gain access to 15% Cavalry Combat Ability here for 25 years, as well as another 10% here for 20 years. Finally, don't forget to fire this event here for a final 15% Cavalry Combat Ability for 20 years. Now the best part about all of this, well, we should have still retained Polish ideas, so we should still have access to the Wind Hussars or the ability to recruit Wind Hussar regiments, so we can have some elite cavalry on top of our already very elite cavalry, and the rest of our army, well, we can probably have as a Cossacks, so we can flash out our Cavalry Combat Ability buffs that we've stacked so far with a bunch of other bonuses from those unique units. With that all said, however, this does conclude the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.